Welcome to the Tech Blog Writer Podcast, your guide to future tech trends and innovation in a language you understand. Now, over to your host, Neil Hughes.
Welcome back to the Tech Blog Writer Podcast, and you've caught me in an excitable mood today. I mean, you remember last week I spoke to the CEO of a company called ScanMarker, which is basically a company that produced a highlighter pen. Well, it looks like a highlighter pen, but it actually enables you to scan text from a physical book or a magazine, and then that text miraculously appears on your smartphone or computer screen. Sensing my boyhood curiosity onto tech like this, the CEO sent me one, and I've been scanning text, anything that moves. But I will do a video for you all in the next few days just to show you how it works and what got me all excited. But of course, it would take more than a digital highlighter to put me in this kind of mood. And I'm excited to get today's guest on today because all of you know by now that I'm passionate about blockchain and the crypto space at the moment, and not about investing in or buying depreciating assets such as Lambos. I'm much too old for stuff like that, and nothing screams of a midlife crisis more than a white male in a Lambo. I'm passionate about the new solutions that are helping build a better tomorrow and really making a difference to people's lives, such as the fact that much of the world has no access to a bank account at the moment. But educating people around these exciting changes is much more exciting, to me at least, than Lambos and going to the moon. But hey, what do you think? Maybe I got it completely wrong. So today I wanted to invite Tammy Camp onto the show, and she's the CEO and co-founder of a company called Stronghold. Now in the past she's been referred to as the Lara Croft of the web, which just got me thinking I need to get myself a label like that. So one of my first questions will be, who are your PR? But as always, I digress a little bit. Seriously though, Stronghold recently announced that it raised $3.3 million in seed funding from Freestyle Capital, making Stronghold the first Silicon Valley venture-backed fintech startup on distributed ledger technology. So as an entrepreneur since the age of 21, Tammy has taken part in numerous successful business endeavours, felicitating over 1 billion plus in sales, and has also collaborated with organisations such as Lloyds TSB, Hotwire.com, eBay, and so many others, and helped scale their business on an international level. And Tammy has also managed media buys, resulting in a capital performance track record of 60% return on investment, outperforming the world's top hedge funds 3-1. It's easy to see why she's enjoyed phenomenal success and well-deserved too, but it's Tammy's future that really excites me. So buckle up and hold on tight as I beam your ears all the way to San Francisco so we can speak with the founder of the crypto asset management platform, which is called Stronghold, and also about the exciting road ahead and why Stronghold and Stellar are actually the ultimate power couple. So a massive warm welcome to the show, Tammy. Can you tell the listeners a little about who you are and what you do?
Yeah, thanks for having me, Neil. I really appreciate it. Yeah, so my name's Tammy Camp. I'm the CEO of a company called Stronghold. Stronghold is a financial institution that is native to the blockchain, meaning, we provide financial services such as, deposit withdrawal. You can do payments, you can exchange and trade value, all within our platform. And a little about me, I've been in the crypto space since 2011. When I was at Singularity University, I had a course from Ralph Merkle, and I learned about Bitcoin there through him. And since then, I was the first head of growth at Stellar in 2014, and I had a little stint at 500 Startups as a partner. And now I have a new venture, and that's Stronghold. And I'm really excited to tell you more about it today.
Fantastic. I'm glad you mentioned your backstory there, because to a few people listening to the show today, the world of blockchain and the crypto scene is brand new, and it's also both exciting and scary at the same time. But of course, that is not the case. And one of the reasons I invited you on the show today was because, like you said, you first entered the crypto scene in 2011, and you went on to head growth for Stellar, the blockchain project that now boasts a top 10 currency by market value and known to many as Lumens or XLM. You've been on quite a ride, and in some circles, you've even been called the Lara Croft of the web, which is incredibly cool. But how have you seen this space evolve over the last 7 years?
Yeah, so originally in 2011, it was one of these cool futuristic things that, was almost like a science experiment. You would just see if you could buy the Bitcoins, and back then you couldn't even acquire, couldn't even get them. You had to buy them in person. Yeah, there was no online sales. So that has changed. Now fast forward now, you can pretty much get them in person and online, and there's many, many different ways to get them. It goes through waves, right? It goes through waves of popularity and then skepticism. So, and I remember in 2014 was an interesting time, because at Stellar, people were still skeptical. Some people were there still wasn't that many, seasoned business professionals in the ecosystem. It was just, your mathematicians and your cryptographers and your hackers. And it's nice to see, like, the industry is definitely transforming now. There's more and more people, leaving their jobs, at Google and Facebook and all these Silicon Valley darling companies, just to, take a swing at blockchain and cryptocurrency. So yeah, it's just changed massively throughout the years.
It really has. And I have been a big fan of the Stellar project for some time now and what they're trying to achieve in bringing Jed McCaleb's vision to life. So can I take you back at your time at Stellar just for a few moments? I mean, can you remember what first brought you into that vision and what excited you about the project then, and also how it still excites you now with what you're doing at Stronghold?
Yeah, so funny enough, when I first was recruited to come over at Stellar, it was still Jed's secret Bitcoin project. So I had no idea what it was. I remember they were all working. It was on top of a auto mechanic store in the Mission. They were all not hiding out, but they're all working on the top of this car shop. I'm like, what are you guys doing? What is going on in here? And, at that time in 2013, I had built Bitcoin, Litecoin, and Dogecoin miners, and connected them to mining pools. So at that time, that was probably the extent to my knowledge of cryptocurrency. And I think Ripple had been out for maybe a year, but I didn't understand what it was. I didn't really fully understand, like, the background behind that project. And when I went in there, I was just like, well, it's on top of a car mechanic shop. Like, where are all the miners? I thought it was, we were going to be building these mining rigs. I had no idea what I was getting into. But it was Jed and Joyce asking me at that time. And, all I wanted to do at that time was just to be involved in the space. So, I totally just went in kind of head first without even knowing what it was before I even started at Stellar. And so when I really bought into the vision, it's several months after I had begun working there, to fully understand, like, what it was and how elegant the technology was, and how nimble and how scalable it was. So it was months after is when I actually bought into the vision.
Now, many people listening to the show will have heard how decentralized systems are the future, and they're going to bring back power to the people and usher in this new era of trust and transparency. But can you tell me why you personally think it's exciting, and why certain elements of the establishment are still clinging to that old way of doing things and are, as a result, nervous?
I never understood this completely until I started this company. And I will say, the new era of trust and transparency. So I think bringing power back to the people is not actually giving people power. It is truly just trust and transparency. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, there are just people behind mining nodes. What's the difference between somebody that operates a validator or somebody operates a mining node on Bitcoin versus someone that runs a central bank? Like, in my head, it's still a person. Yeah. So I used to think it would bring power back to the people, but I think the power lies between the transparency and trust that it brings, not necessarily like the disbursement of power. Because, as you've seen in like Ethereum and Bitcoin, they're supposedly decentralized systems. There are still, mining companies, or comes down to a person that's, operating those nodes and owns majority of the network, right?
Yeah.
So that's my thought there on that portion. But in terms of, established, I would say financial institutions, I think they're actually coming around from what I'm seeing. I know that there are some projects where more and more central banks are adding blockchain into their technology stack. And I would say that to the folks that are a bit shy from it, it's just they don't understand it. When I back to my Stellar days, and I told you it was months before I could really fully understand or appreciate the vision of what it was, is because it took me months. It took me months to understand what it was, and how money moved, and why a technology such as this was so important. So I think it's just because they don't understand it, and then the use cases or the media coverage that it's received in the past comes to money laundering and drug deals and whatnot, and I think those are the things that stick out in their mind. Nonetheless, that the U.S. dollar is, like 99% in all these transactions, but that doesn't get media coverage. It's just this new unknown technology that, is an edge case of these things. That's what people remember. And I think that there's a lot of education that needs to happen, because if you really understand how the technology works, then you just know it's, safer, faster, and more secure and more transparent way to transfer value. And I think that financial institutions, traditional incumbents are actually coming around.
Yeah, I completely agree with you there. There is so much misinformation, and there's a lot of people that don't understand the space and are nervous. But like you say, education holds the key. It really does. And if you mention cryptocurrencies to many people, they will also instantly say it's too volatile. But this is what I love about your story, and one of the reasons I invited you on the show today is that you're tackling that problem head on and doing something about it. So after serving as a partner for the Startup Accelerator 500 startups that you mentioned earlier, you founded your own startup called Stronghold. So can you tell anyone listening that is hearing about Stronghold for the very first time what it is, and how you're working with IBM to create stablecoins, crypto tokens, whose price doesn't actually fluctuate?
Right. So the project that we're working on with IBM, it's a particular product called Stronghold USD. It's basically when somebody deposits their funds with us, we issue that dollar amount in credits onto the blockchain network. Long story short, it's basically USD on the blockchain, right? And the reason why we wanted to do this is because, why the US dollar, right? So 85% of all foreign exchange involves US dollars. 64% of all central bank forex reserves are in US dollars. And over close to 600 billion in hard US currency is held outside of the US. So there is no network effect greater than the US dollar. And people are the most comfortable with it. So we allow people to exchange value as they normally would on the blockchain, which is faster, cheaper, more secure, with our product, Stronghold USD.
Now, Stronghold has already picked up $3.3 million in seed funding, and I also read your article on Medium recently about why Stronghold and Stellar are actually the ultimate power couple. But can you tell the listeners more about how the funding is being used to create this amazing trading experience, and also help the Stellar network grow at the same time?
Right, so we're focusing on a few areas in terms of how we're putting our capital together. One is obviously development. We've hired probably close to 10 engineers, both front end and back end, to develop the platform that we're using. So basically making a user experience for someone very seamless and frictionless, and basically looking like, a normal financial institution that they would usually use. So definitely engineering resources. Second big one, and this is probably majority of the funding is going, is actually regulatory compliance, right? It's a really big thing, getting the regulators comfortable with the technology, making sure your KYC and anti-money laundering compliance programs are in place, making sure that you have, you're screening out the OFAC sanctions list, and the list goes on and on and on in terms of compliance in financial institutions, right? So, I mean, think of we're like a financial institution from the ground up. So think of just like starting a bank, all of the, forms and compliance that you need to have under your belt before you even open the doors. And so we've laid that infrastructure, and we're really, really happy to like have such a high bar at such an early phase in our company life cycle.
And you guys are doing so much more as well. I mean, can you also tell me about your third focus, which I believe is to develop your cryptocurrency asset management platform even further and give asset managers more flexibility while equally maintaining custody on behalf of your clients?
Yeah, so that was the original. That still is very much what I wanted to do. Last year I was just starting Stronghold, and I was investing in a lot of cryptocurrencies at that point, and they were kind of all over different places, all over different wallets and exchanges, and there wasn't a way to really consolidate them into one place. And then if I wanted to have some kind of execution engine or buy or sell, there was not a place to like centrally do that. So that's kind of what I set out to do with Stronghold, is to solve that problem, because last year when I did the research, over 200 hedge funds, specifically crypto, 200 crypto hedge funds had popped up in the last 12 months. So I decided to tackle that market. And I think that there's going to be more and more asset managers coming online to manage people's funds, and hopefully we can be the platform to do that. And you just have to remember, like, Stellar is so interesting. We picked Stellar because it is asset agnostic, right? So not only can you put fiat currencies on it, and today Stellar already has 10 fiat currencies on it, meaning it has USD, euros, Filipino pesos, Nigerian naira, Hong Kong dollars, Chinese yuan, Japanese yen, and so forth. And then you have all of your cryptocurrencies as well. But not only does it have fiats and cryptocurrencies, it has ETFs. It has municipal bonds coming on it. So it has more and more securities coming online, traditional assets. In one day, we're going to see a place where perhaps your Starbucks points are on this ledger as well. So imagine a world where you have all of your stores of value in one place, and giving professional asset managers a place to kind of do that is just I think that's where this is going.
And we mentioned a few moments ago about how important education is. So I've got to ask, what do you think is the secret to increasing that mainstream adoption in crypto space and educating people? Because there seems to be two kind of schools of thought at the moment. You've got the Coinbase route that's trying to become the AOL of crypto and encourage more people on. And there's another school of thought that eventually blockchain and crypto will almost become invisible, and you don't need to understand what's going on below the surface. How do you think the best way is educating users and increasing that mainstream adoption?
I think it's just going to be the latter, actually. Neil, what happens when you send a wire to me today?
Yeah, no one knows.
No one knows. No one really knows. I mean, I know now, but it's quite complicated, and no one really knows. And I think that since more and more fiat currencies are going to be on the blockchain, and you're going to see things like debit cards issued on the blockchain, and people will be accepting Visa and MasterCard as you normally would at a store. You just go to a convenience store, and you buy a cup of coffee, and you swipe with your Visa or MasterCard or American Express, and it takes your dollars or euros or pounds off the network, and then off you go. I think it's going to be very much like that. People aren't going to know how it works. It's just going to be ease of use more so than picking a favorite. Now, that being said, I would say that, a lot of people, there's a difference between cryptocurrencies and blockchain, right? Yeah. I think blockchain is going to win, right? That's my bet with Stronghold USD. And, people won't be spending like Bitcoin to buy a cup of coffee because it's so volatile. They want to hold on. They want to hodl on that. So I think it'll be the latter to your question, that people aren't going to know that it's even on their credit card rails that they're using.
Well, that wipes out my next questions of when Lambo and when Moon. But seriously, what are the biggest challenges and opportunities that you're working on at the moment?
Oh, well, definitely the biggest challenge is regulatory, for sure, right? Getting all of for us, we are regulated out of New Zealand, and we chose there because they have very clear guidance on, how to treat blockchain and cryptocurrencies. And I think, in other geographic regions, for example, the United States, you have 3 federal governing bodies and 50 states to deal with. And they don't always sometimes agree. So it could be a little slower, So, the number one challenge is for sure regulatory.
Now, before I let you go, we've talked about a serious subject and a new world solution, but I feel I must point out that you've also have a fairly eclectic list of interests outside of crypto that includes kiteboarding. I mean, is that true? Do you hold a world record for consecutive back loops? Or is that just an internet myth?
I think, one day a long time ago, maybe like 10 years ago, I did. Who knows if I still have it now, but yes, in my past life, yes, I was an avid kiteboarder. I still am today. Yeah, it's very fun, when you're on the water and, you have to focus and be in the moment. That's a good place to be in, right?
Well, a huge thank you for taking the time to come and speak with me today. But before I do let you go, could you remind the listeners, of course, where they can find you guys online, follow you on Twitter, learn more about Stronghold, or maybe just contact a member of your team if they have any questions about that conversation that we started today? Sure.
You can visit our site at stronghold.co. And if you need to get in touch with anyone on our team, we have such an amazing happiness desk. You can email happiness@stronghold.co. And if you have any questions, you can reach me at Twitter, and it's at Tammy Camp.
An amazing happiness desk? Man, I need to come and work for you guys.
We try to make everybody happy. It's very important. And it's sometimes hard to in, the crypto space, but we try.
I love it. Well, I love everything that you're doing here and this new world solution that you're building. And like we were talking about earlier, trust and transparency and education hold the keys to everything. And you're actually tackling the real problems as well that's affecting cryptos at the moment. So a big thank you for taking that time and speaking with me today.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Tammy is a great leader in the crypto space, and it's easy to see why she's been featured in Forbes, USA Today, NPR, and a participant for the US Department of State's New Beginning Entrepreneurship and Business Innovation Program, which hosted the top entrepreneurs from over 28 countries. And I've been watching the Stellar project with great interest and increased excitement for some time now, but we're now seeing the real-world benefits of banking with Stellar, and how one of Stellar's most powerful features is the ability to trade any kind of asset. So try to imagine US dollars, euros, Nigerian naira, Bitcoin, special coupons, ICO tokens, just about anything that you can think of. And I think today's conversations highlight that it's time to start thinking differently, with a mindset fit for a digital age. And I love Tabby's comments there that traditional banking are not necessarily getting worried, they're coming round to the idea now. And I also love if someone, let's say an organisation or even a trusted individual, issues an asset, that you're going to be able to trade it with Stellar by way of Stronghold. And ultimately, that flexibility lets you make virtually any currency play with as little friction as possible. I think we're living incredibly exciting times at the moment, and I hope you found value from Tammy's conversation today in the same way that I did, and will continue to follow the future of Stronghold very closely. But you've listened to both me and Tammy share our views, but what are yours? As always, email me techblogwriter@outlook.com or send me a cheeky tweet at Neil C. Hughes. Because I want you to be part of today's conversation too, so maybe we can discuss the future and learn from each other. I cannot reveal too much, but I do have a few more exciting leaders from the crypto space coming on over the next few weeks. So if you do have any other questions or guests in that industry that you would like to hear from, please let me know and I'll see what I can do. Finally, a big thank you to Tammy for taking the time to chat with me today, and a big special warm fuzzy thank you for each and every one of you listening all over the world and taking the time to tune into today's show. So I'll return tomorrow with another great guest on this daily tech podcast. But until next time, don't be a stranger.
Thanks for listening to the Tech Blog Writer Podcast. Until next time, remember, technology is best when it brings people together.